Yeah, I think we all felt that was going to be the case, and we were expecting him to sit himself on that front row and possibly pole position. But Lewis Hamilton, on his first run, he was 6/10 shy in the middle sector. The team told him where he'd gone wrong. You got the feeling that he knew he'd gone wrong, but all of a sudden he pulled that second sector together, and he was actually 3/10 up in it. So, fantastic lap.
But knowing that Raikkonen is running light, might that affect Lewis's tactics for tomorrow, his approach to tomorrow's race?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, because, you know, we saw this situation in Japan and we saw what went on in turn one, and this is what we're all getting to now. Is he going to make that call again? Is he going to go for gold, or is he just going to temper it? And as I say, Kimi Raikkonen, I think, will want to stamp his authority and maybe go on and try and win this Grand Prix, but Massa is right behind, and we're going to see him take an opportunity in her eyes. She knew that the job's not been done properly.
Feeling the pressure within the family. That's just the Ferrari family. But you say a win, a good strong points finish, and take it on to Brazil, and you'd have to fancy Massa.
Yeah, I think that is a possibility, but I think they can't really think like that. I think they've got to have the confidence to know that the win is where they should be heading, and, you know, they're nearly there, but they're not close enough.
Problem for McLaren, problem for Lewis is that Heikki Kovalainen didn't really get amongst it. He's qualified back in 5th, and we can hear from Heikki with Louise.
Heikki, I'm guessing you're a bit disappointed with that session.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. The last run was very poor. I lost the grip. I don't know what happened.
Clearly, I mean, part of your job tomorrow is going to be to get a good result for yourself, but to help Lewis as much as you can. How much can you do that from where you're starting?
Not much.
Thanks, Heikki.
That really says it all. If Heikki was going to make a contribution, it was going to be in qualifying today.
Well, he didn't contribute very much then, did he? So, you know, again, Heikki Kovalainen is a great talent, but I just don't see him stepping up when it's been required. And, you know, when the pressure's not there, he produces, but when there's a little bit of pressure goes in the system, he falters. And the big thing for Lewis Hamilton, he knows that every Grand Prix this season, he's never really been on the pace of Lewis. So he's not going to be around when he needs him.
OK, we'll talk about more possibilities before we go, but the top 3, a McLaren driver and 2 Ferrari men, are in the press conference right now. So in many ways it's the pole position that Lewis Hamilton wanted, but the grid he dreaded. Kimi Raikkonen right alongside Ferrari's Felipe Massa, World Championship contender, qualifying 3rd. And let's not forget that Fernando Alonso, the winner of the last 2 Grand Prix, qualifying in 4th. He's pledged his support to the championship effort of Felipe Massa and Ferrari if it's required. Lewis Hamilton's nearest ally, Heikki Kovalainen, who qualified a disappointing 5th, alongside Nick Heidfeld, who was lucky to escape the attentions of the stewards after apparently blocking David Coulthard in the first qualifying session. And then it's Vettel, Trulli, Bourdais and Piquet. The 3rd championship contender, Robert Kubica, qualifying outside the top 10, starting from 11th, and it's Timo Glock, Rubens Barrichello, Nico Rosberg and David Coulthard. And Mark Webber, after qualifying well, seemingly getting through to the last qualifying session, moves back 10 places for an engine change penalty. And another very disappointing day, it has to be said, for Jenson Button and Honda. But tomorrow's going to be something else, Mark, with possibly the extra ingredient of rain, maybe even heavy rain. How could that mix things up?
Well, it could really mix things up. You've got a couple of guys here who are comfortable in the wet, one of those being Lewis Hamilton. And you've got a couple of guys who are not so comfortable, and we've seen Felipe Massa and Kimi Raikkonen in the Ferrari struggling in wet conditions as the season's gone on.
And could it bring Robert Kubica back into the championship contention? Because it was a very disappointing session for him
all season, and he really needed to get up the front there to try and make himself a known quantity.
But they can fuel as they like, and they can maybe fuel in anticipation of the possibility of rain. Let's hear from the BMW boss now, Mario Tyson.
Mario, clearly a bad day for Robert Kubica. We heard him complaining of a handling imbalance. What was the actual problem?
I don't know what the actual problem was. He was not happy with the car all weekend, and it didn't get better to qualifying. It went worse even, and we have to look into it now.
You say it hasn't been good all weekend, but I mean, he was P3 in the session this morning.
Yeah, but still he wasn't happy with the handling, the grip, especially grip of the car. And it didn't get better for qualifying, it went worse.
And I guess he's stuck with that car for the race tomorrow as well?
Yes, it's true. The only upside is we are now free to decide on race strategy, to choose first stint length as we think is best. And that could give him a small advantage, but it'll be difficult to earn reasonable points tomorrow.
Do you think this is the end of his championship challenge?
The end of the championship challenge will be on Sunday night in Brazil.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But maybe the championship hopes are starting to fade for Robert Kubica. Let's talk about another man who could have a big impact on the climax of this season without winning the title itself. Fernando Alonso qualifying fourth after those 2 wins in the last 2 Grand Prix.
You know, if you'd have said to me that Alonso would have been in a Renault on the second row in qualifying at the beginning of this season, I would have said no way. But he's done it, and he's won the last 2 Grand Prix. All of a sudden, if there's an opportunity that comes his way, make sure you're going to know that Alonso will take it, because he's done it the last 2 GPs. Yeah, he's going to take points away from somebody. Whether the points off of Massa or whether the points off of Hamilton, they're going to go missing.
What about this potential support for Massa, though?
Well, he's been outspoken and, you know, very vocal, really, in saying that he's going to support Massa if he can. He doesn't want to give any help to Lewis Hamilton. No love lost between them. We know that. We've seen it from last season. But, you know, there's quite a big thing to come out and make that statement. And you've got to be thinking, if you're Lewis, that I know I can't count on him. And psychologically, there's a little bit of warfare there, what he didn't need.
So let's hear from Alonso on row 2 alongside Felipe Massa.
Fernando, well done P4. You're really coming on strong at the end of this season, aren't you?
Yeah, fortunately it's only 1 race to go, but yeah, I'm very happy and enjoying these last races.
Where do you think you found the speed in the last couple of races?
I think the team keep introducing new parts in the car, and I think that the last parts we introduced were the most efficient ones, because there is no doubt that the Renault car now is quite quick.
You said that you felt you were up there with Ferrari and McLaren. You've actually got one of the McLarens behind you. Is that a surprise to you?
Yeah, so a little surprise, yes, especially after P3. We had some problems with the setup. We did some changes overnight that didn't work, and before quali we changed the car completely again, back to the standard setup we had yesterday. And was the right decision, because the car in qualifying felt very good.
You talked at the beginning of the weekend about helping Felipe, if you could, to win the championship. Are you going to be able to do that, and are you going to try and do that?
I think it will be impossible here to take any point between them, because they are too quick. So I think they will need to do their own race, because they are in front of everybody, Ferrari and McLaren. So we'll see tomorrow. It's interesting. 1 McLaren in front, 2 Ferraris behind. I will be a spectator.
Thank you.
The race stewards, of course, have got a big role to play tomorrow. They played a big role in the last half dozen or so Grand Prix, but with the 2 Ferraris surrounding Lewis as they are, I know a lot of people feel that they never give a decision against Ferrari, but they've got to watch things very carefully at the start tomorrow.
They have to watch things carefully, you're right. And, you know, the situation really is now, if somebody goes into the turn 1 and they lock their tyres up and they cause a little bit of chaos, whether it's a red car or whether it's a silver car, they're going to have to give them a penalty. You know, that's precedents have been set now with Japan. We know what goes on and we know what you get. So everyone on that front row and second row at that will be a little bit apprehensive about what they do on the start.
So what are the elements that might well decide things tomorrow? We know that there's the possibility of rain, but as we saw last year, this is also very tough on tyres, and that's what cost Lewis last year.
Yeah, I mean, a difficult circuit on tyre wear, and, you know, very tough as well in terms of weather conditions, and that's one of the main issues. If it does become rain tomorrow and we've got a wet and damp circuit, this could be the possible chance of this happening all over again. And Lewis Hamilton is where he lost his race and lost his World Championship run in last year's Chinese Grand Prix. Big disappointment for him here, but I'm sure, you know, 12 months on nearly, we can count on him to have changed in the way that he goes about things. Don't forget then he was a rookie. He's not a rookie anymore. He's got a lot of experience behind him and he understands what's required.
And it was interesting to see in terms of the psychological demands for tomorrow. In the warm-up this morning, he missed the entrance to the pit lane once again. Yeah,
well, I think he was just getting it out of his system. He doesn't want to make that mistake in the race, and I don't think he will do. But, you know, that kind of thing can happen, Steve. We've seen it. I don't think it'll happen again.
OK, we'll have some final thoughts on tomorrow's possibilities in just a moment. But before all that, here's your last chance today, at least, at the ITV F1 competition. Good luck with that, and good luck Lewis Hamilton tomorrow. What do you feel are his tactical options tomorrow? Option number 1, I suppose, is make the perfect start.
He has to try and make the perfect start, but he'll be well aware that the Ferrari next to him make a very good start. The only thing is they're on the dirty side of the circuit, but he can't guarantee that that's going to happen.
How much then should he keep in mind Massa's race position tomorrow?
Well, he's going to be aware of that at all times, and I think he's you know, going to be thinking about just collecting a handful of points, and that's all he needs to worry about. We know he's got the capability of winning, but it's not necessarily the position that he needs to be crossing that line first.
Is it dangerous to go in with a defensive attitude?
There's a little bit to be said for that as well, but I think he's going to, and I'm certainly putting my money on Lewis Hamilton to make it work.
Thanks very much. OK, a quick reminder of our coverage tomorrow. It's not too uncivilised in terms of the early morning start. We're on the air at 7 a.m. with all our race build-up ahead of our live coverage of this Grand Prix of China. If you don't make it, then it's 2:55 in the afternoon for a full rerun. Hamilton is on pole position under huge pressure from the two Ferraris. Tomorrow is the ultimate test of his composure, his racecraft and his championship credentials. And let's not forget also, tomorrow, also for Hamilton, could be the championship itself. Bye-bye.